Let me ask you something. Who told you that aging is a slow decline? Who told you that as the years pass, your energy fades, your passion weakens, and your dreams should shrink? I'm here to tell you something radical, something powerful, something life-altering. Aging is a lie, not the number, not the candles on your cake, but what society attaches to that number, the narrative they sold you about what getting older means. That you should slow down, accept fatigue, stop chasing the extraordinary, and settle for whatever is left. That your best years are behind you. I call BS on that. You don't have to age the way the world told you. You don't have to shrink into invisibility. You don't have to surrender your vitality. You don't have to retire from life, because here's the truth. Aging isn't what happens to you, it's what you allow to happen inside of you. You can be 25 and already old in spirit, dragging your feet through life, numbed by distractions and excuses. And you can be 65, on fire, vibrant, building dreams, creating impact, shaping legacies. Because real aging is not about your body. It's about your state, your mind, your emotions, your beliefs. When you were a kid, you didn't think about what was possible. You just believed, acted, played, tried, failed, laughed, and kept going. You fell, and you got back up before anyone could tell you that's not how it's done. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you limits, told you to be realistic, to grow up, to slow down, but I'm here to wake that child back up. That fire inside of you that once burned so bright it's not gone. It's buried under years of noise, fear, and resignation, but it's still there, and today we dig it up, we light it up, we turn your life back on. You want to stop aging, then stop decaying. Decay is what happens when you stop growing, when you stop moving, when you stop dreaming. Stagnation is the real disease. Let me give you a new formula. Energy equals growth plus purpose plus emotion. You bring back growth, you bring back purpose, you command your emotional state, and you bring back life. People think energy comes from youth. No, energy comes from motion, from decision, from clarity. You don't need to be 20 to feel alive. You need to decide to live fully now. You've got to take command of your psychology. What story are you living by? I'm too old. It's too late. That ship has sailed. That's not truth, that's a decision. And you can make a new one right now. Change your story, and you'll change your identity. Change your identity, and you'll change your life. What if your new story was, every year, I get stronger? My body is my partner, not my prison. I create more value now than I ever have. My dreams didn't expire, they evolved. Do you feel that shift? You want a new body, then move it, train it, feed it. Love it? You want a new mind, then fuel it, stretch it, clean it, challenge it. You want a new life, then design it, live it. Don't wait for permission. You are not too old. You are not too tired. You are not too far behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. You see, life doesn't end at 30 or 40 or 60. Life ends when you stop showing up. Your age is a milestone, not a limitation. A number, not a boundary. If you can breathe, you can begin. If you can think, you can change. If you can feel, you can heal. Here's the truth no one's told you. You are not running out of time, you are running out of excuses. And guess what? You don't need more time. You need more intensity, more focus, more commitment, more reasons, and it all starts with one decision. I will no longer age in fear. I will evolve in power. Your cells are listening to your thoughts. Your muscles are waiting for your commands. Your dreams are still watching, asking, will you finally chase me now? Don't shrink into the shadows of your past. Rise into the spotlight of your future. Because this isn't about looking younger. This is about living louder. This is about becoming so alive that people feel your presence like a pulse in the room. Your mission is not over. Your purpose is not done. Your joy is not used up. There is more to become, more to build, more to give, more to feel, more to live, but it will not happen by accident. You must wake up each day and declare, I do not age, I ascend. I do not fade, I ignite. I do not slow, I rise. You want to stop aging? Then stop waiting, stop shrinking, stop settling, start leading, start stretching, start shining. Because there is one thing more powerful than age, and that's your spirit. It doesn't wrinkle, it doesn't tire, it doesn't expire. So unleash it. And if anyone asks your age, smile and say, I'm just getting started. Aging is not what happens to you, it's what you allow to happen inside of you. It's not the number on your ID, the year on your birth certificate, or the lines forming on your face. It's the state of your mindset, the beliefs you carry, and the energy you generate or suppress every single day. You see, society conditions us to believe that aging is a slow surrender, that with every year we're supposed to get tired, play safe, lose dreams, shrink desires, and dim our light. We're told to accept limitations, reduce expectations, and live in the rear view mirror. But that's a story, not a fact. The real decline doesn't begin in the body, it starts in the spirit. It begins the moment you let fear replace curiosity, routine replace adventure, and doubt replace passion. People around the world age at different rates not because of genetics alone, but because of what they believe is possible. Some people in their 30s feel old because they've stopped growing. They've settled into predictable patterns, abandoned their ambitions, and numbed themselves with distractions. Meanwhile, others in their 60s or 70s are climbing mountains, starting businesses, writing books, mentoring youth, and dancing through life with fire in their hearts. The difference, it's not age, it's attitude. It's what's happening inside them. It's what they choose to believe about what life still holds for them. You can't stop the clock, but you can decide what that clock means to you. Time is not your enemy, resignation is. When you allow thoughts like I'm too old, it's too late, I missed my chance, or that's not for me anymore, you're not just aging, you're programming yourself to decay. You're handing your power to a narrative that keeps you stagnant, uninspired, and afraid. You start to see the world not as a place of opportunity, but as a timeline of decline. But the truth is, your cells respond to your mental state. Your physiology listens to your psychology. When you wake up with passion, when you feed your mind with purpose, when you move your body with intention, your entire system starts to regenerate. You activate life instead of allowing it to drain. Your body follows your energy, not the calendar. What you tolerate, you reinforce. So if you tolerate the idea that aging means becoming irrelevant, tired, or fragile, that's what your experience becomes. But if you challenge that belief, if you decide to live with intensity, contribution, curiosity, and love, then you reverse the script. You ignite instead of fade. You expand instead of shrink. You thrive instead of survive. Every day, you make a choice to live forward or to live in reverse. That choice becomes your biology, your mindset, your relationships, your creativity. Aging doesn't rob you, surrender does, and that surrender begins when you stop evolving. You are a dynamic being. You were not created to live a static, slow decline. You were built for growth, change, renewal, and transformation. The human spirit was not designed to retire from purpose. It was designed to rise with every chapter. When you believe that your best years are always ahead, you give your mind a reason to keep learning, your body a reason to keep moving, and your heart a reason to keep opening. That belief keeps you vibrant, that decision keeps you powerful, that energy keeps you alive in ways no anti-aging product ever could. The real fountain of youth isn't a pill, a serum, or a diet, it's the decision to stay in motion, to stay hungry, to stay emotionally alive. There are people who look young but feel old because their souls have checked out. And there are others with gray hair and wrinkles who are more alive than anyone you'll ever meet, because age has nothing on aliveness. And aliveness is born from intention, from joy, from gratitude, from creating, giving, learning, moving, and loving relentlessly. You stop aging the moment you stop believing in limitations. You stay young the moment you choose curiosity over fear, growth over comfort, and passion over passivity. You are not running out of time, you are running out of excuses. We live in a world where the clock is constantly blamed for the things we never started, the dreams we never chased, and the greatness we never activated. People say, it's too late now. I should have started earlier. If only I had more time. But the truth is, the lack of time isn't the problem. The real issue is the stories we tell ourselves to justify staying in our comfort zones. It's not that you're running out of years. It's that you've let fear and procrastination eat away at the ones you already had. Excuses are seductive. They give us a way out, a reason to stay safe, a shield to protect us from disappointment or failure. But those same excuses are the very walls that keep you from the life you were meant to live. The clock doesn't control your destiny, your decisions do. Every second is a seed. What you plant now determines the harvest you'll experience later. The problem isn't that the years are flying by, it's that most people aren't flying with them. They're sitting, waiting, hesitating, overthinking, doubting, and assuming that someday the perfect moment will arrive. But someday isn't a day on the calendar. It's an illusion we create to avoid the discomfort of starting now. You don't need more time. What you need is more clarity, more purpose, more urgency, more fire, more commitment. When people say they're waiting for the right time, they're really waiting for permission to believe in themselves, to take the risk, to trust their inner voice more than the opinions of others. The truth is, the most successful, fulfilled, and powerful people didn't have more time than you. They had the same 24 hours, the same 7 days, the same ticking clock. The only difference is, they stopped negotiating with excuses. They stopped letting fear be the CEO of their life. They stopped blaming time and started bending it to their will, because time bends for clarity. When you're clear on your purpose, when your vision is strong, time expands. You get more done in 1 week of aligned action than in 10 years of hesitation. The issue isn't time slipping away, it's your focus being scattered, your energy being wasted, your priorities being misplaced. Excuses create delay. Delay creates regret. Regret is just potential that never got activated, and every time you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, "It's not a priority right now." That's the truth hiding behind the excuse. But when the pain of staying stuck becomes heavier than the fear of change, that's when transformation begins. That's when you stop lying to yourself. That's when you stop letting the clock be your excuse and start letting it be your reason. Because every second you spend postponing your greatness, you're not just delaying results, you're delaying the version of yourself you're meant to become. The world doesn't need more people who keep waiting for time. It needs more people who step into it, own it, command it. You can keep watching the clock, or you can become the one it watches. Time is neutral, it doesn't care what you do with it. But your life will reflect exactly how you used it. If you're constantly saying you'll do it later, next month, next year, you're feeding a pattern that keeps you powerless. But the moment you decide that your dream matters more than your excuse, your time expands. Your results accelerate, your fulfillment deepens, and suddenly, life stops feeling like a countdown and starts feeling like a mission. People don't regret aging, they regret postponing. They regret silencing their voice, delaying their dreams, and making excuses for their potential. You are not too late, too old, too busy, or too far gone. You're just one decision away from momentum, one action away from clarity, one truth away from freedom. Stagnation is the real disease, growth is the cure. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much success you've already had, or how comfortable your life has become. The moment you stop stretching, reaching, learning, evolving, you begin to wither. Life isn't designed for stillness. Everything in nature is either growing or dying. Trees, rivers, muscles, relationships, even your mindset, if it isn't expanding, it's eroding. Stagnation may look safe from the outside because it feels familiar, predictable, and low risk, but beneath that comfort is slow decay. It's not dramatic, and it's not sudden, which is why most people don't even notice it happening. But the moment you stop growing is the moment your spirit starts shrinking. You can have a great job, a nice house, a steady routine, but if your soul isn't engaged in something bigger, something that forces you to rise above who you were yesterday, you start feeling hollow. That's not boredom, that's stagnation. That's your inner self craving growth. Growth isn't just about progress in your career or skills. It's about becoming more conscious, more passionate, more capable, more emotionally intelligent, more spiritually aligned. When you resist growth, you resist life, because growth is the only proof you're alive on the inside. It's the path back to fulfillment, the fuel behind energy, the trigger for joy, and the gateway to impact. Stagnation is silent. It sneaks in through routine. It creeps into your thoughts through repetition. It disguises itself as stability, but what it really does is numb you. It tells you to stay where you are, to protect what you have, to keep doing what's always been done. But you weren't built for sameness, you were built for expansion. Your nervous system craves challenge, your brain thrives on newness, your spirit ignites when it's tested. Growth isn't always comfortable, in fact, it's often inconvenient and messy. But nothing extraordinary ever happens inside your comfort zone. Growth demands movement. It requires risk. It calls you to disrupt the patterns that keep you small. People don't get tired because of age, they get tired because of repetition without elevation. Doing the same thing every day, thinking the same thoughts, reacting the same way, playing the same role, that's what drains you. The most alive people aren't always the youngest or the richest. They're the ones who stay in motion, who never stop exploring, never stop creating, never stop asking what else is possible. They understand that comfort is a drug and that too much of it kills ambition. They know that growth is the oxygen of the soul, and they seek it the way others seek entertainment or distraction. You want to feel alive again, start growing again. Pick up a book that challenges your mind, learn a skill that scares you. Put yourself in rooms where you're not the smartest person. Step into projects that require more of you. Reflect on the habits and thoughts you've outgrown. Growth isn't a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. It's waking up each day and asking, where am I playing small? And then refusing to settle there. It's about constantly upgrading your identity to match the future you say you want, and it's about falling in love with the process, not just the result. The people who transform their lives don't do it because they were lucky. They do it because they were willing to grow through what others avoided. They were willing to feel discomfort, face uncertainty, and outgrow old versions of themselves. Growth is never convenient, but it is always worth it. It's what builds resilience, unlocks potential, and breathes vitality into everything you do. Growth makes life feel meaningful again. It replaces fear with excitement, boredom with curiosity, and apathy with purpose. When you choose growth over stagnation, you choose aliveness over survival, expansion over safety, and impact over invisibility. Change your story, and you'll change your identity. Every belief you hold, every action you take, every emotion you feel is filtered through the story you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. That story becomes your identity, and your identity becomes your destiny. Most people aren't stuck because of circumstances. They're stuck because they're living inside a story that no longer serves them. A story they didn't even choose consciously. Maybe it came from childhood. Maybe it came from failure. Maybe it was handed down through generations or absorbed through society. But it's been running their life like an invisible script, dictating what they attempt, what they avoid, how they show up, and what they settle for. That story might sound like I'm not good enough, I'm too old to start over, I always mess things up, people like me don't succeed, or I'm just not meant for more. These aren't facts, they're narratives, and the moment you start to question them, challenge them, and replace them, your life begins to shift. The brain is wired to protect your identity, so whatever story you keep repeating, it will do everything it can to make that story come true. If your story says you're average, you'll make decisions that keep you average. If your story says you're powerful, you'll step into situations that demand power. Your story is the thermostat of your life. It sets the limits for how much success, love, health, and joy you allow yourself to have. You can try to change your habits, improve your environment, or hustle harder, but if the story doesn't change, the transformation won't last. Because deep down, you'll always snap back to who you believe you are. That's why breakthrough isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about rewriting what's outdated. It's about becoming the author of your own identity instead of being a character in someone else's script. You get to decide what your life means, you get to decide what your past meant, you get to decide what's possible now, but you have to get honest about the story you've been living in. Look at every area of your life where you feel stuck and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself here? You'll find that the obstacle isn't the situation, it's the interpretation. You've been living in a narrative that keeps you small, safe, or scared. But just because something feels true doesn't mean it is. Feelings follow focus, and focus follows the story. When you change the narrative, your energy shifts, your confidence rises, your vision expands, and most importantly, your behavior starts to align with who you really want to become. Every transformation begins with a new story, one that's empowering, one that's rooted in possibility, one that's aligned with your values and dreams. Maybe your new story is, I am resilient and resourceful. I create value wherever I go. I am worthy of love and abundance. Or I rise every time I fall. These are not fantasies, these are new foundations. Your identity is not fixed, it's flexible, it's programmable, and you are the programmer. You don't have to be who you were yesterday. You don't have to repeat the past. You don't have to live in the shadow of a story that doesn't reflect your true potential. The moment you declare a new story and live in alignment with it, the world responds. Your relationships change, your opportunities shift, your energy attracts different outcomes, because the external world always mirrors the internal story. You don't age, you evolve. Aging is often misunderstood as a slow decline, a wearing out, a gradual fading of strength, beauty, or potential. But the truth is, life doesn't take something from you with time. It gives you layers, depth, wisdom, and insight. You're not just getting older, you're becoming more of who you were meant to be. Every experience, every challenge, every breakthrough adds dimension to your character. Evolution is not about staying the same. It's about becoming richer in perspective, more grounded in purpose, and more powerful in presence. The idea that youth is the peak is a lie fed by a culture obsessed with appearances and instant gratification. The peak is not behind you unless you decide to stop climbing. Your evolution doesn't stop at any age, it deepens. In your 20s, you may have had energy, but maybe not direction. In your 30s, you may have had ambition, but maybe not clarity. In your 40s and beyond, you start seeing patterns, understanding your values, realizing what truly matters. You learn how to say no, how to protect your peace, how to stop chasing and start creating. You don't lose yourself as you age, you refine yourself. You polish the core, you shed what no longer serves. You evolve into the person who's no longer desperate for approval, no longer addicted to validation, no longer trying to fit into molds that never fit you in the first place. Evolution means elevation. You begin to rise above the noise, the drama, the expectations. You begin to choose purpose over popularity, meaning over distraction, fulfillment over fleeting pleasure. You evolve by looking at yourself honestly, not with judgment, but with responsibility. You take ownership of your energy, your thoughts, your decisions, your growth. And when you do that, you don't feel old, you feel alive. You don't shrink with time, you expand with awareness. The wrinkles on your face, the gray in your hair, they're not signs of decay. They're badges of evolution. They say you've lived, learned, endured, transformed, and emerged stronger. There are people in their 20s who are already old inside, stuck, bitter, checked out. And there are people in their 60s who are just beginning to shine, passionate, creative, and full of life. Because aging isn't about the body, it's about the spirit. And the spirit doesn't age, it evolves. It renews, regenerates, reawakens. The more you align with your purpose, the more you stay connected to what lights you up. The more you give, serve, love, and learn, the younger your soul feels. Evolution is driven by intention. When you move through life unconsciously, you decay. But when you live with presence and direction, you evolve. What matters isn't how many years you've lived, but how deeply you've lived them. How many times you've stretched your comfort zone, how many moments you've been truly present, how many times you've turned pain into power. That's evolution, that's growth. That's what makes you radiant from the inside out. Stop looking at time as something that takes from you. Time is the forge where your greatness is shaped. Evolution isn't linear, it's layered. Sometimes you rise fast, sometimes you pause, sometimes you go inward, but every phase is necessary. Every season adds value. You're not behind your becoming. You are not meant to fade. You are meant to become more defined, more aware, more impactful with every passing year. The world doesn't need more people chasing youth. It needs more people embodying wisdom, showing what it means to evolve gracefully, fiercely, and unapologetically. When you embrace your evolution, you stop fearing age. You stop resisting growth. You stop holding on to what was and start stepping fully into what is. You stop counting the years and start making the years count. Your power doesn't decline with age, it amplifies with awareness. Your purpose doesn't expire, it matures.